I like to welcome all our guests that are on this Zoom call for this wonderful panel. I'm so excited about hearing from these young folks about violence in schools and in the community. Um, in the last year or so, we've heard a lot from officials in the city and in agencies across the state in Columbus regarding what should happen regarding the violence, the uptick in violence and the violence that's happening in our schools and in our community. The Fudge Foundation, thank you, Fudge Foundation, for hosting this conversation, this most important conversation, and allowing us to elevate the voices of our youth. I'm so excited for these wonderful students here today. Donovan, Daylon, Josiah. Did I pronounce that right? Daylon. Okay, Josiah, what about you, Daylon? Did I pronounce that right?
Yeah.
Okay. And Destiny, thank you, the four of you, for joining today. So we have about 7 questions. We may get to them all, but we may not, and that's okay. I want you to know, and I've told you this, that we're holding space for you, right? This is a brave space, and it's a safe space because you're in your own places. So we just want you to use your voice, right? Be as organic, be as transparent as you wish. If at any time, and this is for our guests too to know, at any time, if, especially for our panelists, if you are not comfortable, you don't want to answer something, you don't have to. There's no requirements here. This is simply a platform for you to raise your voice. Okay, we got it. Y'all ready to go? Well, let's do this. Let's do this. So the first question I would like for you all to answer, or just tell us, is actually just give your name and where you're from. You can answer that however you want, right? And for example, you may want to include your school, you may not, and then the part of town, or if you're in Columbus, just give us a little bit of information where you're from. And we'll start with Josiah.
Hi, everybody. My name is Josiah Schooler. I'm currently located in Columbus, Ohio, and I'm a student at The Ohio State University.
Thank you so much, so much. Let's go with Donovan.
Hi, my name is Donovan Lewis. I live in Black Lake, Ohio, and I go to Gehanna Lincoln High School. Okay. I'm a senior also.
Senior, yeah, last year. Daylon.
Hey, my name is Daylon Humphreys, and I go to Kid Columbus High School. I'm a senior, and I own a project called Dream Achievers to help the youth in Columbus, Ohio.
Okay. I'm going to ask you a little bit more about that, Daylon, so get ready. Destiny?
Okay, my name's Destiny. I'm a junior. I attend KIPP Columbus, and I have my own cheer team that I coach, and I'm also a cheerleader. And yeah.
Good. Wonderful. Some really active youth here. And so if you have an organization that you are involved with or leading, please bring it up. For Daylon and Destiny, since you brought up yours, you want to tell us a little bit more? You can start, let's start with Destiny. You want to tell me a little bit more about that, or tell the audience a little bit more about that?
So I started cheering when I was 5, but now I do jazz, dance, and ballet, all of that. So I started my own cheer team, and they're all Black little girls on there. And we went to competition. We went to nationals in Florida, got 3rd place. And yeah, I do it all by myself. So yeah.
Awesome, awesome. And what led you to do that? What made you want to start a little girls cheer team?
I've been cheering since I was young, and I love cheering. So I just started doing my own cheer team.
Love it. Love it. Elon, what about you?
Dream Achievers. I thought about Dream Achievers because like I was losing friends like back to back, and then I've been speaking about gun violence for like since 2019, and I work for the city, so that motivated me to make like Dream Achievers. So Dream Achievers is like to help kids all around Columbus, Ohio, to achieve their dreams, like keep them out the streets, keep them out of gun violence, stuff like that. So right now I'm working on some hoodies, Dream Achiever hoodies, and then like starting Monday, I'll be going to West Side schools, like to communicate with them about nonviolent communication, Dream Achievers, stuff like that. So I'm just trying to make a change.
Yeah, making some difference, right? Josiah, you belong to an organization too, I do believe, right? Are you part of?
Yes, I do. I belong to the BOLD Conference, which is Black Orientation for Leadership Development, and it's hosted by Dr. Carter Womack, excuse me. And he actually brought it to me because we attend the same church, New Salem Baptist Church. And it is what the club is, it is what it says. It's focusing on Black young men and their leadership development, just developing those skills so that we can have those for those situations.
Yes, amazing. And I know Dr. Carter Womack myself. So yes, I know it's an amazing organization. Donovan, do you belong to any other organizations or lead anything?
Yes, as I belong to Vote as well. So yeah.
Okay, okay, great. So it's called Josiah and Donovan BOLD, right? BOLD. Okay, and it's led by Dr. Womack. Yes, okay. We got it. We got it. So next question. You know, you're also very active in the community, in personal growth and leadership. I just really love that. Tell me what your definition of violence would be. Like, so what does that all entail? Who wants to start?
I'll go first.
Okay.
I define violence as like hurt, anger, crime, gun violence, trying to hurt somebody, trying to abuse somebody, stuff like that.
Okay. Okay.
I would describe it as like using aggression. It doesn't always have to be aggression, but in general, I mean, like usually it's aggression to harm somebody in like any type of way.
Okay. Okay. Destiny, you want to go?
I define violence as anything that you wouldn't want back to you or your family. That could be mentally, physically, or emotionally, anything you don't want to happen back to you.
Okay. Interesting. And Mr. Josiah.
Yeah, I would define violence as it could be, like they said, physical, mental, emotional, or some type of force that is exerted for the malicious intent of hurting someone. So.
Okay. All right. I got so many papers here. I'm trying to make sure I got the next question. So, you know, those definitions are very similar. Does anybody want to get a little bit more specific about, from your perspective, what some of those examples could be, right? So Josiah, go ahead, since you were the last one to speak. Give me some examples.
From my personal life, so I've been running cross country since 7th grade, and you know, not a lot of us run cross country. So just from the racism that I have experienced, especially in my high school career, from being called the N-word multiple times a day to actually having crab apples thrown at me during like a race. So, but through it all, I wouldn't be here without it. So.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else want to add? Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. Anyone else want to add some?
I say example of violence is like my environment, like just seeing kids getting killed, getting beat on, bullied, and getting pushed around, and just the increase of gun violence.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing. Donovan or Destiny, or Donovan talked Destiny?
Like I said, you wouldn't want something back to you or your family, because when I was 5, my dad was killed by gun violence, and you wouldn't want that on anybody's family to not have a dad for all your years. And yeah.
Okay, so we heard gun violence. Anyone else?
There could be, for an example, you could say violence by like, maybe like bullying or robbing and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, when I think about when I was even in the community, right? And when I was in schools a long time ago, you know, there was some accepted behaviors surrounding bullying, right? And that could be very violent. We know, and if you look at the statistics, that bullying for young people like you has increased the rate of suicide. You know, of bullying. And so, and you all may know somebody or may not. Certainly, we've read the stories regarding bullying. It's not something to just get through, right? We don't have to, and you don't have to just get through or accept anyone bullying you or anyone else. What types of violence have you seen? And some of you have kind of mentioned that already, or been a victim of in the community. So say, for instance, you went somewhere, maybe you went, and I'm not trying to name places or anything, maybe it's a different side of town, or maybe it's Polaris or Easton, or maybe it's, you know, wherever. Does anybody want to share what types of violence you have seen or been a victim of in the community?
I've seen and witnessed gun violence. I've been a witness of gun violence. I got shot at before. I've seen people get killed in front of me, shot at, stuff like that, beat on, just all types of stuff.
Okay.
This summer at a party, Delon was also at that party. It was downtown where a little girl got killed from running from the gun violence, and they were shooting, and the girl got killed.
So who was shooting?
We don't know.
Oh, okay. Josiah or Donovan? Anything you want to share regarding that?
In school,
Well, community. We're starting with community.
Oh, community. Oh,
Yeah. Okay. What about you, Josiah? Anything else in community?
I don't believe, right off the top of my head, I don't think that thank God, I haven't been a victim of violence in the community, but I'll wait till we talk about the schools.
So let's just go to school, right? Let's ask that piece, because we know that most of our lives are in school when we're young, right? So I will, we'll start with Donovan regarding this question. What types of violence have you seen or been a victim of in school?
I've seen people bully each other, or like bully like a person in particular, physically. I've seen people like take stuff from like other people's lockers and stuff like that. But yeah.
Okay. All right. Josiah?
Yeah, so about the schools, the first experience that comes to my head was when we first got a police officer in our school, which we had, according to the previous graduating classes, they've never had that before. But class of 2019, we had one, and we actually ended up needing one because fights broke out that year more than any other year than I was in high school. I believe there were about 4 or 5 fights throughout that school year. I could be wrong, but I believe that that's what that was. And one of the fights involved one of the cops jumping on top of one of the girls who were in a fight. And I believe everyone thought that he had tased her, but that actually wasn't true. But just seeing that, seeing him having to jump on top of her while she was, as we say, getting jumped, that was, to us, that was like unnecessary. You're supposed to separate that. You're not supposed to engage in that.
Okay, okay. So I'll just, well, go ahead, Daylon, do you have anything to add?
I seen kids get stuffed up in lockers, punched on, kids getting slammed by like police, like security officers in the hallways, stuff like that.
Okay. All right. And Destiny?
One of Daylon, his soccer mates or whatever, they fight at school, and he had got a concussion because he got slammed on the floor and he hit his head, and he can't play soccer. He don't really remember stuff, but that happened at school. And yeah.
So would you say, here's my question to all of you, would you say that you've experienced or seen more violence? And we know it may be because you spend more time in school than you have in community? Yes. I see some head shakes. Yeah.
I would say definitely.
Say that again, Donovan.
I would say yes.
You would say yes? Okay. What about you, Dayon? If you want to answer, your Destiny.
I seen more violence in my community than my schools I went to.
Okay. Yeah.
I would say different. I see more violence at school than in my community, because I live in like a more calm neighborhood with all homeowners and older people. So there's not really violence in my neighborhood.
Okay. All right. So do you think that based on the location, of course, or your school, like what type of school you're in, that the rate of violence may go up or down, and whom is in those locations? So like Destiny talked about, there's more older people, and it's calm, and it's those type of things. Yeah. And then like really what type of school you're in or where your school is located, do you think that plays a part in the amount of violence that you see or been exposed to? Yeah. That's not a leading question. So you can dissent from it and say, no, I don't think that's it, Miss Fry. It could be whatever else. Feel free. I want you to speak up. This is your platform. This is your voice, right? So yeah, I mean, it may, right? It may.
Yeah.
So,
because my school is like located like up north in the Linden area. So a lot of kids come from the Linden area or like different hoods around the city. So the violence in the school like increase.
Yeah.
I like to add on to what Daylon said. Our school, they just let anybody, like there's a waiting list, but anybody could come there. And at my school, like I don't know how to explain, like it's strict to the point people have to bend rules just to have fun or whatever, but they want to always fight. And I just feel like school shouldn't be like that. We come to school for a reason, but the teachers and the students are understanding that.
Okay. So why do you think there's so many fights in school? Not that there's a whole lot, and we can't, speak to every school in Franklin County, certainly, but why do you think there's an increase? Because there is evidence that shows there's an increase in fights in school. And even at the collegiate level, Josiah, I'm gonna let you talk first. Even at the collegiate level, right? There's more examples of violence on colleges' campuses across the country, not just Ohio State. We hear a lot about Ohio State because we're here in Columbus and Ohio State's here. But certainly there's more incidents of violence. So go ahead, Josiah.
I would say that okay, I'm unmuted again. I wanted to make sure, anyway, the reason why I think that there's more violence is because of like on online and social media. It's kind of like when people, how we say, have Twitter fingers, like Twitter thugging and all that. They like to talk so much behind a keyboard or behind a screen, but when someone comes up to you in your face, like a lot bubbles up. I can't lie. So people are like, "Oh, you're not about to do this to me. You can't do that to me. You talking mess about me behind my back. So what you want to do in my face?" I think that's a reason why, and I think that just needs to stop. It's ridiculous.
Okay. So what needs to stop? Is it that, did you call it Twitter thugging?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna use that. Yeah, so why do you think, do you think it's easier to be that quote unquote Twitter thug because you're behind the screen? It's easier?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's the main thing. Like we call it Twitter thugging or being trolled like on the internet.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Because
Okay.
it's not in your face.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you can say what you want to say, and that's across the board, right? Like you can say whatever you want to say. You can do it quick, call somebody a name or tell them they're wrong or whatever the case may be, and there's really no repercussion, right? It's just words. Whereas in person, folks may not act that way, but when you do see them, then like you said, there might be a bubbling up. What do you think, Daylon? Why do you think?
I say it's like a lot of bullying, and then like nudity, like girls, and then some guys just feel like they gotta fight the other guy over that girl, and it just increases. And then like kids nowadays don't think before they act; they just want to act. Like they don't think about nonviolent communication, like how that could affect their future. So.
Okay. Okay. Donovan, you got a piece to add to that? Then we'll go to Destiny.
I mean, I feel like in our time, it's like a lot of people like they got a bunch like of differences and stuff, and like always want to like butt heads and stuff over small things, and people don't know how to like coexist with people's differences and stuff like that.
So, I like that word coexist, right? Because if you think about the pandemic, we haven't had to coexist, right? Everybody's been shut off. You've been doing school from home, you can't be in places in large crowds, all that kind of thing. So that coexistence, really, we've kind of gotten away from that too. Destiny, what do you think?
I was going to say, I think COVID had a big impact on that because, like, online, people used to just argue on the Zoom calls, and people were bored. And people always think you need to live up to this standard of you need to be big, strong, and tough and wanting to fight people. But that's not the truth. And it's in the music too. The music people listen to is what makes them want to go be gangbangers and shooters and fighters, and you gotta do this to be cool. It's in the music and because of COVID.
Okay, good. Did I miss anybody answering that question? No, I got everybody. Okay. What do you think the adults, right? So folks like me, people in school, leaders in the community, even your neighbors in the community, what do you think the adults in the schools and communities need to do to help prevent violence? Tell us what we need to do from your perspective to help prevent all this stuff?
I think adults and everybody else should like more stuff to do in the community besides erecting. Like kids don't feel safe like after 6 or something else could happen like after 6. So I feel like we should do like more stuff in the community, more neighborhood work, talk to different schools, kids, because kids, they don't have nobody to talk to them. Like, let's say their parents don't talk to them about certain things or how to like protect themselves or like handle themselves outside. So I feel like kids need another voice besides their parents or anybody else.
Thank you. Wow.
I agree with that, but I think you should talk about what happens after violence, because violence isn't preventable, because not everybody raised their kids the same. Not everybody's raised the same. So I feel like kids should be taught what you do if you experience violence, because it's not preventable. You can't prevent that.
I completely agree. My whole thing is, like, as an aspiring educator myself, I think we should educate our students and our children about what really goes on outside of their little bubble that they live in. Especially when I was growing up, my grandmother she always kept it 100. She said, if you want to, yep, she always was like that. She said, if you want to know something, I'm going to tell you straight up, because then you can't go back and say I didn't tell you because I told you. So.
Yeah. Who didn't answer? Did somebody not answer that, Donovan?
I didn't answer yet, but I was gonna say violence is gonna happen, but a way to like react to it is to like teach kids how to like avoid it and stuff like that, and also to like try to get like more people together, I guess. I don't know, by doing different activities or something like that. Yeah, that's what I got.
Okay. So let me see if I can paraphrase this, because I was writing notes down while you guys were talking. So I heard a couple of things, and you guys might want to expand upon this, or say, yeah, that wasn't quite right, Ms. Fry. So besides parents having people in community and schools talk to students about the real deal, basically, like what it really is like out there. Like, don't sugarcoat anything. I will say that my husband and I, we tried to do that with our sons, African American males in this community, right? And so all of us know that there are different rules, right? So you can't sugarcoat it. You can't. Have more than just rec centers. That was said too, right? Like, so have more
Yeah,
community.
that was the number one thing.
Go ahead,
Yeah,
David.
Yeah, that was the number one thing. Rec centers don't really, they don't really prevent anything, because it's like violence still like happens like outside of a rec center. So kids just need something different than a rec center. So like my project Dream Achievers, like I want like one day, like a couple years, like in the future, I want to build like a Dream Achiever teen club for like kids in the community come to besides a rec center, open up 24 hours, mental health, counseling, one-on-one violence help, stuff like that.
I love it. Yeah, because we know there's not, and I don't know how you feel, but this is what I feel, that there needs to be more than one place where you go get your mental health, right? More than one place you go play ball, more than one place you can go get some mentoring from some adults, or someone your age that's already been through, what you're going through. Like, there needs to be more than one, just like this conversation. There needs to be more conversations asking the youth, what do you think we need to do, right? Because you guys are in the midst, honestly. You're the ones that are in the schools that's experiencing these things. Somebody else did not answer. Was it Destiny? Did you answer?
I want to like go forward, like with not explaining, like parents be like, oh, don't get, like they tell their daughters don't get pregnant. They don't tell them why they shouldn't get pregnant. And the real thing, like, don't get pregnant. It's hard. You're probably not going to graduate from college and high school. And if you do, it's going to be hard. You're probably not going to go to college. Like, it's so much stuff to it, but they don't explain all of the detail. They just tell them not to get pregnant and stuff like that. Like, your mom will be like, don't go to the store, but she's not telling you that there's people shooting outside and there's stuff that can make you do bad stuff outside. They're not explaining it. They're trying to sugarcoat it, but you can't really shelter your kids from the real world because they have to go to school. It's the law. And somebody at school is going to tell your kid or anything, because your kid's not going to stay innocent to the world for a long time.
Okay. So you're saying it needs to be more explanation by adults, not just parents, by adults, not just saying, don't get pregnant. It's like, if you do get pregnant, I'm going to tell you why, I'm going to tell you why it's going to make your life harder, potentially, right? And maybe show some examples, because there's plenty of examples out there for all of these things, right? Like, go talk to so-and-so, maybe get those people to have those conversations with the youth. I heard something, I wrote down self-defense. I don't know who mentioned that, or how to protect themselves. Okay, is Donovan. Donovan, and we're talking about students. So you want to expand upon that, Donovan, or is it self-explanatory?
I think I was the one you're talking about. I
I
said
think so.
how to avoid altercations and acts of violence and stuff like that. Yeah, just knowing like your area and what you can do, and you gotta take into consideration the risk every time you step out the house, every time you go do something. So yeah, just letting kids and teens know that that's like a prevalent factor of your everyday life.
Yeah, and make it constant, right? So have the conversation over and over and have those conversations and give those examples. And it's just not like one time, right? This is a different time than when I was growing up. So I know that my parents were different parents, right? Mother, father in the house, they were different. When my dad said something, we didn't go past it, right? We know that today there's so many more influence. Like we said, we got social media, there's, of course, including in that is Twitter and all those type of things. And now there's all this other screen time because of the pandemic. There's access to so much information than it was when I was coming up. So no, I agree. I think those are really good suggestions for adults to think about and then act on. I see you, Josiah. Act on. To help students help their kids, other kids. It's just not my kids, right? It's all kids. It's all students. So Josiah, go ahead. I know you had your hand up.
Yeah, I was gonna talk on like the topic of mental health. I think mental health has a lot to do with it and having healthy outlets. Because for me, just me recently, I did not know like about healthy outlets and stuff. I'm like, what's that? I didn't grow up on that. So I had all my different friends and like professionals talk to me and be like, you can do this, you can go for a run. I'm like, oh, I love to run. So might as well go run, do something that will help de-stress and take away those violent tendencies, maybe.
Yeah, yeah. And really just center your mind and your brain, because your brain works, there's a whole biology to your brain, how it works, right? And understanding that, right? There are things that make your brain work one way and things that make it work another way. So being able to have that outlet you're talking about, Josiah, and I'm speaking about this because I am also a yoga meditation teacher, is having the ability to meditate and think about it. Perhaps it's a walk. That's a walking meditation, right? So that you can calm down. Maybe it's counting to 10, something as simple as that, right? Before you feel yourself getting angry, recognizing when you're starting to get angry, recognizing, someone said this earlier, thinking before you speak, right? Taking that pause. So yes, I agree with all of that. What do you think, each of you, what do you think, what can students do to help prevent violence? So what can the students do? What can the youth do to help prevent violence? I know someone dissents on that in that they don't think you can help prevent it per se, but what do you think students can do to help prevent violence in our communities and in our schools?
Just to work together. More people like me, example, like just want to speak to everybody about gun violence, the increase, how they could affect somebody else's family, and just like different sources, like real sources.
Okay. All right.
One of the things like students can do is like help others feel like included and stuff like that. And like, I don't know, like in particular, you can invite someone to a club, stuff like that.
Okay. More inclusion.
With my
Making people.
cheerleaders, I talk to them about sexual assault and all of that domestic. Like, I tell them I don't tell them not to have a boyfriend, because like I'm not going to tell you that because I'm not to have a boyfriend, but like I'm not of age. But like boys are not worth it. Like just wait. And I just talk to them about stuff like that, and they listen because like they know that I'm not going to tell nothing wrong. And we're like the same age group, and kids are more likely to listen to kids. They're not going to listen to adults. they're gonna listen to you at the moment, then find a way to go back behind your back and do it. That's what kids do. They're
Yeah.
sneaky.
Okay. Okay. So I have some nieces and nephews I need to have some more conversations with then, huh? Yeah. Okay. That's what I'll do. My kids are grown, but I can have conversations. And I think that's important, Destiny, if we talk about sexual violence, right? In schools and communities, that's a real thing. And it doesn't have to be just against girls, right? It's any gender. And I want to make sure that you know that there are people who are mandated by law in your school. If you experience those type of things, I don't care if it's harassment, discrimination, any of those things, sexual violence, discrimination because of any of your, if your race, gender, sexual, or any of those things. There's people in your school that are mandated by law. There's Title IX coordinators and there's compliance officers. So know that that's there as a resource. They have to. They cannot not do something and look into whatever your allegations is. So Josiah, you had your hand up, right?
Yeah, I did. To answer the question that was already asked, I would say like the students could maybe hold each other accountable, because the school that I work at, I really encourage my students to be like, yo, if someone else is doing something wrong, don't be afraid of what people are gonna say, because they're just mad. Hold them accountable. Like, tell them you should not be doing this, and you know why you shouldn't be doing it. And if they don't know, explain it to them, because they're more likely to listen to you than you are to me, even though you have to listen to me. But still.
Yeah. Did everybody get to answer that question? There's a couple of questions in the chat. Dion, Fudge Foundation, do you want to ask those?
Yes,
Or you want me to?
there was a question that was asked. Do any of y'all know of any teen who has committed suicide or heard of anyone talking about suicide?
I like to start. My little cousin, actually last year, she was 15. She killed herself in front of her dad because she was going through stuff, like because her mom left she left another man basically. And the daughter felt like her mama abandoned her and she wasn't allowed to have a boyfriend. And they already tried to get her mental health, but she went to the hospital and they was like, nothing's wrong with her. Like nothing's wrong with her. So she was felt by the system and she felt like she couldn't take it no more. So she killed herself.
Anyone else?
Yeah, what Destiny just said, our baby cousin, she committed suicide, and then Destiny's cousin say he shot himself last year, and yeah.
Yeah. Josiah or Donovan? Donovan?
In my school, I don't think there's been a suicide, but there are people that talk about suicide though, and think about it.
Okay. Josiah, what about you?
I personally do not know anyone who has committed that, but I've seen people talk about it. And I don't know if y'all seen the show 13 Reasons Why. Like that show, I was in high school when that show came out, and people were like, oh, it's glorifying suicide. And I understand that, but like if you really like take a clean slate look at it, it's telling, like it's very compelling, and it's telling people like this is what really goes down in high school. Like parents, like y'all don't know, so we're gonna make this TV show. We're gonna tell you how stuff actually goes down.
Yeah. So and this question is just coming to mind. Thank you for sharing. And sometimes when we share hard things like suicide and our knowledge of people that we love and know, it causes trauma. So I want you all, I have to say this, I want you all to make sure you care for yourself, right? After this conversation, because these are hard topics. And if you need someone to talk to, I'm here, Dion is here. If you want to reach out, you guys got my email, please do that. And we both can give you some and be there for you, give you some strategies and some things that you can do. And we're here with a listening ear, and we are holding space for each and every one of you. And that's anyone on this call, if there's other students on this call. Yeah, I mean, all those things. So I'm hearing there needs to be more advocates too, right? Advocates for students. What do you do, since we were talking about suicide? Is it okay for us to sit here for a moment and have a little bit of conversation regarding suicide? Is everybody okay with that? Okay. I mean, if you're not, you don't have to answer. So what do you do when you hear, I know one or two of you talked about hearing other students talk about wanting to commit suicide? What do you do? And how does it make you feel?
What I would do, I mean, I heard a couple people talk about suicide. I would connect them with somebody I know that does mental health. I know a lot of people that does mental health, so I would connect them, and I feel relief, like I save somebody's life, basically, and like probably go talk to their parents.
Okay. Okay. Anyone else?
A lot of people joke about it now. Like, they're like, I'm about to kill myself, like just as a joke. So, but I mean, I don't want to almost save somebody's life and they really needed the help and I didn't help them because I think they're joking. So I feel like, one, people shouldn't joke about it anymore. And two, if somebody actually needs help, I'm going to let the closest adult know around me or convince them to talk to their parents about it. And yeah, I'm going to try to lead them to help. And if I can't lead them to help, find them help.
Okay. Okay.
What I would do is first be there for them, because that's a hard time for them. And I would make sure that I let someone know that like I trust and that I know is going to do the right thing for them. Also try to let their parents know.
Okay. Okay.
I would, yeah, I would do everything that you guys have said and more. Number one, my thing is, like Donovan said, be there for them. Like, be that listening ear for them. Because some people don't feel confident going to anyone else but you, because the way that you present yourself and your demeanor. So number one, above all else, just be there for them and then slowly take the steps, because you don't want to rush through it, because then they might back out and be like, never mind, I'm not going to talk to you. But take the slow steps and be like, you shouldn't do this. Tell them why. Just tell them they have stuff to live for and keep them encouraged above anything else.
Yeah. And you did everybody answer? I think so. Okay. So and because I care about you all too, know that it's not just your burden to carry, right? So I heard you all say you would let someone else know. And so just know you have to care for yourself too, when those type of things happen. So don't carry the burden yourself. Like, just like you guys said, tell someone else, get someone else involved, a professional, be it mental health or anything like that. So yes, we want to make sure that all are healthy. Yes, 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 yes. With all the news reports, and I'm sure you all have seen them and maybe witnessed about regarding fights and guns in schools, and what do you think could help solve that issue? We know that, and Dion probably has this statistics, I know he does, has it memorized regarding gun violence and the increase in gun violence. So matter of fact, Dion, do you want to share those statistics, that data regarding Franklin County or Columbus? And he will. I'll put him on the spot. I didn't tell him I was going to ask him that.
Yes,
But
I'll put it in the chat.
Okay. He's going to put it in the chat. And so just with all the reports, I mean, last year we had over 200 murders, right? Gun violence, right? Do you guys know that? In Columbus? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm aware of that.
Okay. And, just kept going to the very last day of 2021, right? I know our city was holding its breath, right? And I don't know how many it is now, 204. Sheila mentioned it was 204 in the chat. Dion's going to give us some more data. Thank you, Sheila. And so knowing that, right? And then there's data about the increase in guns being brought to school too. So knowing all that, what do you think could help solve that issue? And we're talking specifically in schools. Like, what do you think? What comes to mind for you that could help resolve or decrease the issue of guns in school?
I feel like, I don't know if anybody's gonna agree with me on this, but I feel like there should be stricter gun laws, period. Because the reason why these kids are getting guns is because anybody can get a gun. And they're getting guns on the streets. They're finding guns. People are tossed after a murder or anything. Like, I was on Instagram, somebody said, I found this gun in a ditch. Why are you touching a gun that you found in a ditch that has a dirty body on it? You're gonna get charged if they find you with the gun. And I feel like I said, anybody can get a gun. Gun rules are not strict anymore. Parents should have to parents should have to have a safe or something with their gun. They shouldn't be able to just have it out because a kid can easily access. That's easy access. I just found out the other day my aunt has guns in her house. I never knew that. For the last 17 years, never knew she had guns in her house. And I just found out the other day. I was like, "You have guns?" She was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Never knew that."
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like kids just need another voice, another hearing, like this to decrease it. Like kids just need a conversation, like to let them know like gun violence is not it. It ain't gonna get you nowhere, either the grave or jail at the end of the day. And you're not gonna do nothing but affect the other family. And then what Destiny said, kids to get guns anywhere, they need to just like stop getting guns in the streets and like make sure kids cannot get hold of guns. Like nowadays, it's like 11-year-olds out here with guns. And nowadays, kids feel like it's cool to post on the internet with the gun and, like that, just to take pictures just for likes. Like, what are you doing that for? Like, that's a wrong image to have for yourself. And people in the future could look at that.
Okay. Donovan, what do you have?
Can you repeat the question again? I'm sorry.
Man, I don't know. We went down the
Sorry.
we went down. It was about, here's the question. With all the news reports regarding fights and guns, particularly guns in schools, what do you think could help solve the issue?
I would say like giving kids or students like alternatives and stuff like that, more opportunities, and like making sure they know that it's not worth it. To be honest, it's a lot about like the environment they grew up in and stuff like that. So yeah, making school like a healthy environment so they don't feel like they have to bring guns to school.
Okay. Did everybody answer that? Josiah, did you say anything?
I did not, but I feel like everything has already been said. Everything that everyone has said, I agree with 100%.
Okay. So I have a couple questions. What do you think about youth and the no snitching when they know who committed crimes?
At the end of the day, if you're not telling, then you're hurting another family from knowing the truth, and you're letting a criminal be on the streets. Like, if he shot him, what makes you think he's not going to shoot you? Because you're not going to snitch. You're not going to leave no witnesses behind. So there's a matter of time before they come and try to hurt you or somebody in your family. So I understand this loyalty, the streets, but you shouldn't put yourself in that predicament anyways to know something that could potentially withhold justice. And that's actually a charge too, if you know something and you don't tell.
Okay. Anyone else have a comment?
Yeah. Kids nowadays just feel like it's the code of the streets, or they feel like if they do, they're gonna end up getting killed just by just snitching and just mentioning that person's name. And in my opinion, it's not like snitching. It's just like another relief for the family. But nowadays, people don't got the mindset as I do or anybody else. They just think like I'm sticking to the street code.
Okay. Yep. So that's a street code. No snitching. Anybody else have anything to add to that, Donovan?
Like he said, I was gonna say, a lot of people feel like if they reveal what happened or like say what happened, they can have harm directed their way. So I feel like that's a big reason why.
Okay. Yep. I agree with everything you guys said. Not that it matters a whole lot, but yes, I'm feeling you and all that. There's a comment in the chat that from Dr. Womack actually that says America has a gun culture. American media glorifies guns and violence. Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Josiah
I agree. I agree that it does glorify gun violence. I feel like only responsible like people that have like their background checks and stuff like that should only be the ones able to purchase like a gun for their safety. But a gun culture shouldn't be a thing in our society.
Yeah.
I didn't first see a gun until I met a police officer in person. And speaking on police officers, I feel like this is a separate topic, but I feel like there should be background checks required and like a what is it called? Like a test to see where their mind is at when it comes to being a police officer. If they're going to racially profile anybody, just do a test and make sure everything is clear on that. Because like the glorifying the gun violence comes from the police. Like, wow, somebody's doing something bad, shoot them. No, you don't do that, because just because you're something bad doesn't mean that's nothing jail time could fix, or a talk starting early, a talk could fix.
Yeah, I agree with Destiny said. And gun culture, it shouldn't be a thing. It's like it's a wrong influence on like young kids, especially like from their parents and uncles and cousins. It's like a wrong influence. Like me growing up, I seen most of my family have guns and streets and stuff like that. So it was like a wrong influence. It's just I chose my path in life. I know like the causes of gun violence, where that could lead me, where I can go, stuff like that. So yeah.
Okay. Okay. Anyone else? No. I personally grew up with guns. My father was a hunter, so we had early on education about guns, right? As little kids. And so I never was necessarily afraid of guns until I got a little older and I saw the other kind of damage that it could cause. So responsible gun ownership is definitely huge, like an education. And police officers do have a battery of background checks and mental health tests and all those things. But then you have to ask potentially about the validity of it all, right? How it's applied, what's the questions, all those things. We can go down a whole hole with that one. But there's some comments in the chat. What time is it? Oh, it's 3:53. Didn't I tell you guys it would go quick? Let's see. Someone made a comment, shut down the pipeline, apply pressure to legislative officials, run for office. We need folks in office to change the narrative. And I agree with that. If that's something that someone's interested in, there's so many organizations that can show you how to run for office. As long as you're legally, and I think you all should run for office, honestly. It could be a local office. It doesn't have to be a big one. I was recently elected on the Hilltop, the Greater Hilltop Area Commission. And it took me a minute to do that because I was like, that means I have to be vulnerable. That means I have to be exposed. I gotta step up. I gotta be one of those folks. So I'm going to encourage each of you, if that's something you think you may want to do, start with the local office and run for office after you get 18. There's another comment in the chat that says TV, movies, video games, social media, all those contribute to gun violence. Do you guys agree?
Yeah.
Even for adults.
Yeah, I feel like that GTA game is just like, it's very a role influence on kids. Because nowadays kids be thinking they like in GTA. Like, this is real life. You're not in GTA.
Yeah, yeah.
I agree because Delon had a phase when he was younger where he wanted to be Tupac. He watched a little bit too much movies. He wanted to be Tupac when he was younger.
She's telling on you. She's telling on you. Anyone else have a comment regarding that? So my last question for all of you wonderful leaders, I just can't wait to see what you do as you progress through life, is do you know what to do or who to go to if you've been a victim of violence? Do you know?
Yeah, I'll go to one of my sources. I want to say I would go straight to the police because I have like a certain feeling about police. I feel like if I was to go to them about the crime, they wouldn't like go full in to do something. Like they wouldn't hear me for real. Like they'll just go through the next ear. So I feel like I'll go to my source, not the police.
Okay.
I feel like it would depend on what type of like
Who
the
else has?
the
Donovan?
volume. Hello? Can you guys hear me?
Mm-hmm. I think you're breaking up for me, but it may
Oh.
be my connection. Just keep talking.
Okay. I was
Go
saying
ahead.
I feel like for me it would depend on like the volume of the situation. Like if it's something small, I'll probably go to like my parents or something, or like someone close to me. But if it's like something where like one of my like important items got taken, I'll probably call the police.
Okay. Okay. Anyone else? If you had 1, 2, 3 last things to say, is there anything else that you would want to add to this conversation? Anything you would want the adults in the room, in this virtual room, to know? Any kind of bits of wisdom as directly impacted individuals of violence? Is there anything else you would like to tell us?
I would say, please take the time to really educate your kids. Don't hold anything back because they're gonna get exposed to it anyway. So you might as well just tell them flat out, this is what it is, this is what it's not. Please, please educate them.
Say let's build, like let's connect sources. Let's make a change in Columbus, Ohio. Let's actually do something besides just saying it. Like let's take action before it's like too late in the future and next you know it's our people outside just shooting. Like we need to act now before anything to make a change to the next generation growing up.
I would say it's like it takes a lot to change like a generation of violence and stuff like that. I feel like it originally starts in like how you raised them, like for example what Josiah said, teach them right from wrong, and things like that.
Okay.
Don't keep your kids sheltered, but don't expose them, like don't throw them out in the world with no resources. So don't keep them sheltered, but don't throw them out. Educate your kids before and tell them everything they hear at school is not true or see on social media is not true, because these kids, they're easily manipulated. And yeah, just don't throw your kid and talk to your kids and just talk to your kids. Don't try to just talk to them, because there might be, and make sure they have somebody important like that they trust in their life. It might not be you, it might be their grandparents, their aunts and uncles, but make sure they have somebody to talk to if something bad happens, because you don't want them to keep that in. And look at this, the signs of depression and suicide. Make sure your kids have mental health all secured.
Yeah. And to adults, right? Like, be okay with your kids talking to other people. They don't always have to talk to you, right? Like, help them to build that network, that support group around them, because they're not going to tell you everything. I will say that. Being a aunt, you know, being a great aunt, being a mom, being, you know, all those things, good friends with my kids, you know, you need to build that network. I know that Josiah had his finger up. We're almost out of time, Josiah. So what do you
Okay.
got it for us? You're good.
Yeah,
Come on.
yeah, I'll make it quick. But my other thing was, when kids sit down and try to talk to y'all parents, actually hear them out. Don't try to enforce what you believe, like straight off the top of your mind, and say, this is what you need to do to fix it. You need to get over that. Don't do that. Actually take the time and be like, okay, why are you feeling this way? What's really going on? Like, because everyone says they want to figure it out, but then they just keep throwing their ideas out. Don't do that. Just take the time and, you know, really try to figure it out.
And what about ask them what they think? What do you think you should do? Right? That may be a way to do it as well. You know, and there's a comment in the chat. I'm gonna tell you this because it's like amazing. Excellent job, panelists, right? This is from, you guys have done, you just blew it away. Outstanding and very well spoken. Here's your flowers. And so they have emoji flowers there. And it's from Dr. Carter Womack. And he says, thank you, Victoria, too. So I say that too. You're
Can I say
quite
one more
welcome.
thing?
Yes, quickly, yes.
Don't assume your kid is being disrespectful if they're speaking up. Speaking up is not disrespect.
Yeah. There's definitely a way to speak up in a respectful manner, right? Yes, I love it. Thank you so much. Dion, did you have some parting words? Is there something you wanted to say before we sign off?
Yes. First and foremost, I want to say thank y'all for your bravery and just speaking up, letting them out. I really just sat back and just really listened to what y'all was sharing. I have been impacted by gun violence. I lost my father in my arms in a mass shooting that happened here in Dayton, Ohio, along with 8 other people. And ever since then, I became a force in the state house across the country, you know, advocating on laws, strengthening laws, and making things better for families that are losing their loved ones. Y'all just need to continue to keep speaking up and keep sharing that, because that's what it takes, is the awareness, you know, and hearing all y'all speak today was very powerful. So I hope that y'all can align with each other, because y'all are all strong, like listening from Daylon to Donovan to Josiah to Destiny. Like, each one of y'all conversations was so compelling. But I can only imagine when y'all work together in the city of Columbus, it's just gonna become stronger. And that's what it takes. It takes a united front, instead of people doing something over here, where we all need to come together and fight this issue. So thank y'all. And hey, I'm here whenever you need me. So always feel free to reach out. And this is only the beginning. And thank you.
Yes, it's only the beginning. And honestly, I agree with Dion as well. And I have a nonprofit called Black Lotus Sanctuary, but I want you guys to tell me your organizations again, so we can keep an eye out and that we can help support. I don't, you know, whatever it is, just shout it out, guys. Just shout it out.
Dream Achievers.
Say it again.
Dream Achievers.
Dream Achievers.
I cheer coach for the Columbus Bobcats and the Legacy Elite.
Okay.
And I dance and cheer for Pretty in Pink Dance Company.
Pretty in Pink. Okay, got it.
The Bold Conference, Black Orientation Leadership Development.
Black Orientation Leadership Development, Bold Conference. Got it.
Bold
Donovan?
Conference for me also. Bold Conference for me.
Yes, 2 Bold Conference. Yes, I love it. I love it. Thank you all again. I appreciate you. You have my contact information. You have Dion's contact information. Listen, we're going to be calling on you again, aren't we, Dion?
You know it.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Thank you so much. Have a blessed evening. Thank you for your participation, and you'll be hearing from us soon. Thank you, participants. Thank you, attendees. We appreciate you as well. Give them a hand clap. people who are watching, the attendees, because they did a marvelous job. Thanks for your bravery.